Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying Gartside's bass bug. It's another one of Gartside's flies. It's a simple tie, a good one to put in your warm water box. Tie them in different sizes and colours to suit yourself. It's a very versatile, adaptable pattern. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anybody that wants to support the channel, get access to the monthly fly tying classes and enter the giveaways. Alternatively, you can help the channel out by watching the video all the way through, sharing it, commenting, anything like that all helps. So I've got my hook and my vise. I'm using a Gamakatsu B10S size 2. You can use your preferred sort of bass bug hook, stinger, up to you, and obviously size to suit yourself. I'm running on some, this is a UTC black 210. I like a flat thread for this just to crush the foam and secure everything nicely. I'm going to put a weed guard on, so I've got some 20 pound hard nylon. I'll just quickly lash that along the top of the shank, and then I'll take this down around the bend. Don't go too far. If you go the way around, it stops the fish being able to push the weed guard away. I feel you need just enough to turn the weight of the fly. Now I'm going to come up and whip finish here. And get some nail varnish, head cement, whatever you prefer. And just the thread that's going to be exposed, I like to just protect it, because that weed guard tie-in is always an area that can rub away on the jaw pads. So set that aside, and I've got one ready to go. I'll just start my thread again. Now usually I would just tie as many weed guards as I was needing. You know, if I was going to tie half a dozen bugs, I'd do half a dozen weed guards and then get started. But just for the purposes of the video, I'm doing it this way. So tail, got to get some strong Marabou. I'm going to have a couple on this size of fly. I like a nice fluffy feather if I can find one. It's nice and thick. That one's not. This one's better. Tail length, sort of suit yourself. I like a bit of hook length out the back. You could make it longer, I suppose, if you want. So I'm going to come in, measure it, get them tied in. Don't be too fussy, don't worry about this being super neat or anything. I'll come in, I'll just trim that at an angle and just bind it down. Now the body's dubbing. The original would be the Gartside secret stuff, but any flashy dubbing's fine. I'm using Spectra Flash because it's got quite a nice long fibre for brushing out. I'm going to brush just a wee amount, dub just a small amount I should say, at the back here. Make sure I'm coming back to sort of the tie-in point. I'm going to secure my foam, which should be about in line with the barb of the hook or so. I've got a piece of foam here. This is about 4mm thick. I've sized it so it's just short of the hook length. Now, You can tie it longer then trim it after the fact if you want, but I like to sort of pre-cut them so they're more or less how I want them. And I come in, I just set that so that the back of the foam is just resting on the tail. Rock it to myself slightly, and then just let the thread torque pull it on top, and when it's sitting directly on top we'll tighten down 2 or 3 turns. See how we're sitting, that looks okay, it'll lift up. Got a turn in front, and you can see that sort of flattens that tail slightly. Just force it forward just to lift it, let the tail lift a wee bit, something like that. Then we need a hackle, a saddle hackle or Schlappen, something fairly long with a good bit of web, like this one. I'm just going to tie it in American style, I suppose you would call this, with a tip at the back. You know, it's not how we would do it in Scotland when you're tying a palmered fly, but... And then I'll just tie everything off and make sure this is nice and tidy in the front. I'm going to get more of the dubbing. I mean, you could change the colour if you want, but I'm just going to stick with the same stuff, this sort of dark peacocky colour, and get plenty of dubbing on here so that you can brush it. I'm actually going to put 2 layers, so I'm going to come in at the front, blast back. Now I can tighten it up a wee bit if I feel that it's just too loose. And then work my way back to the front. Yeah, that's fine. And I've left a good space. I've got a good couple of hook eyes here. So what I'm going to do is take this hackle, sort of fold it, and just wind this forward, palmering it up the body. You can make it as heavy or as light as you want. You could double up the hackles. Just going to stretch that wee bit just to get to the front. Get to the front, put a full turn, just use that up with that nice webby fibre. It's all movement. Catch that off, trim away my waist. And then we'll get a bit more dubbing. And just build up a bit of dubbing in front there. It just helps to support the foam. And then I'm going to come in and brush this quite aggressively. Make sure that you're encouraging the hackle fibres to the sides and underneath. Bring that flash into the hackle. Just keep your thread out of the way. Now I'll put my weed guard on, so just slide it through the vise and up through the hook eye. And I'll catch it on my butt. 2 turns of thread probably is enough. And then you can adjust the the gape or the gap between the nylon and the hook point. Make sure it's the amount that you like. And fold that back through, tie it over so it will never pull out. Come in with the heavy scissors, trim that away. And the last part's dead easy. Just take your foam over the top, just tighten down as you go. Just going to stretch that a bit more. That's better. And then get progressively tighter, and this is where the heavy flat thread is really useful. You're not likely to cut the thread, cut the foam. And that looks pretty good to me. So we'll just whip finish over the top of the foam. So it's a wee bit gurglery, but you obviously don't have the big popping lip. It's a much more subtle top water presentation. And then trim away that, and then I'll come in with my head cement, get it in the groove. Make sure you cover all the thread wraps, and there you go. That's the Gartside bass bug. Simple, but very, very effective. Well worth having these in your box. They work in the rivers for the smallmouth, they work in the lakes for the largemouth and the smallmouth. Good fly. So remember to give me a thumbs up below if that was useful, and I'll see you for another video. Take lines guys, bye.